Hi, I'm Erica Jeter. I will be conducting a social studies lesson today. The standards I'm going to touch on include Social Studies 6.G.21, which is explain how major physical characteristics, natural resources, climate, and absolute and relative location have influenced settlement, interactions, and economies of ancient civilizations of the world, as well as Social Studies 6.G.2.3, which is to analyze the relationship of physical geography to the development of ancient river valley civilizations. So let's get started. So hello, boys and girls, good morning and welcome. We are going to continue our lesson on ancient Egypt today and the geography. I'm going to open my whiteboard. You should have this reading as well. So here we have the two lands of ancient Egypt, the two lands of ancient Egypt. So let's think about land, where we want to be. We want to be in Egypt. Kind of cool, right? What about places you have been? If you guys ever moved around, how many of you have ever moved to a different house in your life? Been in a different house? It's a big move, right? Getting used to a new room, a new neighborhood. Anybody move neighborhoods so far that you had to change schools, make all new friends? Oh, quite a few of you. Anybody move from a different state? Anyone move state to state? Maybe a couple times? Nice. Let's think bigger. Has anyone had to move from a different country? Has anyone had to move to a whole different country or from a different country here? Nice. All right. So we have some experience moving around, right? So let's think for a moment. Let's look at our note sheet here. Titled The Two Lands of Ancient Egypt, the same as our reading. We're going to open up thinking about 4 reasons people might pick a certain location to live. So think about 4 things that would make you want to live in a certain location. Think about what would make you want to, when you're an adult, you can pick any place you want to live. What would be that deciding factor for you? What would make you want to live in a certain location? Give me 4 reasons on your paper why you would pick a certain location to live. All right. At this point, I would give the students a couple minutes, maybe not minutes, that might be generous. I would give them a little while to think of 4 reasons they might be stuck, especially if they haven't moved before or lack any kind of background knowledge as to why people do move. Maybe their parents don't share that or they've never had that experience. So I would start calling on volunteers to kind of share out either through the chat or through discussion, depending on the platform. All right, who would like to share with me one of the reasons you came up with? All right, so Michael said family would be a reason. Good job, Michael. So being close to your family, being near your family is probably very important to a lot of people when picking a location. I like that one. All right, Jessica said that a job might be a reason to pick a certain location. Good job. That definitely does come into play, right? For example, if you want to train dolphins one day, you would need to live by the water or at least an aquarium or a zoo, right? If you wanted to be an airline pilot, you would have to live by an airport. Any other ideas? All right, someone said weather and climate. That's a great example. When Miss Jeter moved from Illinois to Florida, one of the major reasons was the weather. It's very cold up north, very cold in Illinois. So that was definitely one of the reasons why I moved to Florida. Good job. You guys came up with fantastic reasons today. Let's go back to our reading here, Two Lands of Egypt. So let's scroll down here. While we're reading, we're going to have a task to do, okay? We're going to be annotating our text. We're going to be marking our text up so it helps us remember what we read and it helps us go back and reference when we need to find things later. So what we're going to do is we're going to use these symbols when we're reading. We're going to use this exclamation point when we find something interesting. So when you find something interesting, something that you think would be kind of cool, something noteworthy, something you would want to share with people, you're going to mark that with an exclamation point. Then we have a question mark. So when you are unsure or confused by something, we're going to mark it with a question mark. It means might need a little more help, might need more explanation on it, more clarification. So give it a question mark so you remember to go back and ask for more help with that. It could be a term, it could be a bigger idea, it could be like where something might be located, whatever it is you need more information on. Then we're going to use this little asterisk symbol here when we find something important. So if you think this is important, might come up again, might be test question worthy, right? Go ahead and mark that with an asterisk. Then we're going to highlight with colors. You know, colors are so important when it comes to notes and reading and marking our texts. So we have yellow, which will make sure I have my highlighter on here. We're going to use yellow for power words or key terms. So if you come across a word or a term that you think is important, we're going to highlight it in yellow. Then if you come across key phrases and definitions, we're going to mark that with green. So yellow, power words and key terms, green, key phrases and definitions. Okay, we ready? Don't worry if you mix up the colors and highlight something wrong, it's okay. Just remember, whenever we take notes, whenever we highlight text, the important thing is less is more. We don't want to come back and this whole thing is lit up in green and yellow. We want it to be something that these colors pop out and our eyes draw to the color to remember those important things. If the whole thing is highlighted, we're going to have to reread it all over again to try to figure out what we were thinking. So let's try to keep it a little simple this time around. Less is more when it comes to highlighting, okay? All right, so let's go to the top here. Two lands of ancient Egypt. I'll start reading, okay? Ancient Egypt was divided into two main regions, Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt. It was a geographical as well as a political distinction that separated these two areas. Around 3100 BC, King Menes unified these two lands and became the king of Upper and Lower Egypt. So we had these two lands, Upper and Lower Egypt, which ties into the title, which makes me think these two things are important. So I'm going to highlight Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt. These are going to be key terms to me, or those power terms, power phrases, because it ties into the title, Two Lands of Ancient Egypt. Geographical as well as a political distinction that separated these two areas. I'm going to go green here. Geographical as well as a political distinction that separated these two areas. So it's telling me why they're separated, what makes them different. Around 3100 BC, King Menes unified these two lands and became the king of Upper and Lower Egypt. So I'm thinking that this king is pretty important because he unified these two lands. So for me, that's a power term, key term. He seems like he's an important player here. And then I'm going to go green again because he became the king of Upper and Lower Egypt after he unified the lands. So I went through and I highlighted a few things. I highlighted 3 power terms, key terms, and I highlighted what I thought was some important information. What I want you to do now is go through just this first paragraph. Don't go beyond this for now. Wait for me. But I want you to add question marks, exclamation points, or asterisks. Okay, so let's go down here and review. An exclamation point means interesting. Question mark, I'm unsure or confused about something. And the asterisk would be you find something that you think is important. So I'm going to give you a moment to go back through this first paragraph and find something that you might need clarification on, question mark. Something you think is interesting, exclamation point, something you think is important, the asterisk. Go ahead and write those in there. Go ahead and write those in. Good. Does anyone want to share where they might have put a question mark? Okay, question mark, political distinction. So right here, question mark, that is going to be question mark, there you go. That's going to be a point of, I don't know what a political distinction is. Might need clarity on that, right? Yes, I agree. All right. So I'm going to close my whiteboard now. I see I am at the 10-minute mark. I could probably do this forever and talk about this all day. So throughout the rest of the lesson, I would read through with the students and then kind of release that highlighting to them. I would have them share out some of the things they were finding along the way, what they felt was key terms and phrases, what they felt was important information, as well as the things they were using question marks for, and try to clarify those things as we went. I'm a big proponent of guided notes. As you saw a little sneak peek there on my slide, I do like to provide guided notes. It's one of the methods of differentiation I use in the classroom. I think it really reaches all learners, especially in the middle school level where they're just learning how to take notes, and it's not necessarily a strength just yet. And trying to pick out what's important to add to notes. What do I need to have in there? You never want to like overdo it too much, right? When it comes to note taking. So guided notes, especially find that very helpful for my students with IEPs and 504s. A lot of times in their accommodations, it's to provide copies of notes. I don't necessarily like providing copies of notes from the beginning because I feel like that lessens engagement. I feel like if I provide the guided notes, it has them follow along to the best of their abilities, fill in the notes, pay attention, ask those questions. And then at the end, if I need to fill in any blanks, give them a copy of mine. We can do that too to kind of reach that accommodation and keep it, there, but, keep them engaged and still learn with us that note-taking skill. Another opportunity for differentiation is the check-ins. I would like to do check-ins along the way, either through the chat or previously through Zoom. I would put them into breakout rooms and do individual check-ins with them. I know depending on where you're at with the class, sometimes they feel more comfortable sharing in smaller settings, larger settings through the chat. And then as the year progressed, they were very comfortable sharing in all formats. So those check-ins I think are very important. Share questions, share your ideas, the guided notes, definitely start to pull back my influence. The first paragraph I did highlight with them for them. And then by the last paragraph, I would want them to do the reading and do the highlighting and then come back in and share with me what they came up with. And then when they did the guided notes on the next page, they would be able to go back, use their notes, their highlighted sections, and see, did they highlight those things that were emphasized in the notes? If I made the notes and I thought those things were important, they touch on them in their notes and pull those same things out. And then they can kind of see, are they on the right track with their note taking, or did they highlight too much, which, as we know, it tends to happen in the beginning. They want to highlight everything. So just kind of baby steps in note taking is part of the experience I got doing AVID the last 15 years is, that college and career readiness. How do we get them used to note taking and pulling out the important information, and also their summary writing as well. All right. Well, thank you so much for this opportunity. It's been so fun teaching virtually again. And I just, I appreciate your time. Thank you.